Hi. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll have probably seen a video I posted a couple of days doing a little review and overview of these THOROGOOD mock toes. If you're a UK sort of boot wearer, you'll probably find that THOROGOOD are a brand that you've seen before, but not really found available on the UK shores. These have recently been sort of brought into the country and they're now being distributed and are becoming much more available as of sort of mid-2015. So really good option and certainly something to consider. But as soon as you start considering that, you probably start wondering, well, what about Red Wings? You know, which is the better boot? Now I've certainly always wondered that, and now I'm in a position to have a look and sort of make some comparisons. First of all, I'd say that actually these are much more different boots to each other than you might initially expect. So a couple of real differences between the two. But I don't think anyone else has got a video on YouTube sort of looking at the exact differences, so I thought, well, let's do that. Okay, so let's just pop one of each boot to one side and take a look. Now, to be honest, it's a little bit unfair on the Red Wings here because these are sort of approaching 18 months old. They've had a lot of wear, but the key features do still sort of show through. So start off, yeah, the similarities are there. They're both US made, handmade, good quality boots. They've got that classic workwear look, mock toe with the white Christie sole, as I'd call it. They each call it something different. For example, Red Wing, the THOROGOOD call it a Maxwear wedge, but it's that white wedge sole that sort of really sums up the style. Very similar on the outside, but some key differences. So let's start off with branding. Now, I quite like people to know what I'm wearing. You know, I've taken the choice, taken the time to find what I consider to be the best product, and actually, you know, I really like people to say, oh, I see you've got some Red Wings on, I see you've got some THOROGOOD. So I kind of quite like some branding on my boots. The Red Wings are completely anonymous. Nothing even on the tongue, unless you look inside. So that was sort of a little bit strange. There's not many sort of brands which don't sort of shout about who they are and what they're about. The THOROGOODs have got a decent amount of branding. You know, it's obviously subjective, you might not like branding, but I do. So you've got the branding on the tongue, you've got a nice little, almost literally a brand on the heel unit there, sort of imprinted in the leather and coloured in black. And then you've got this little flag here, sort of proudly declaring their US made credentials. So that's a difference. You know, I like branding, so you know I quite like that about the THOROGOODs. Other differences would be the leather. Not in terms of quality, because they both seem to be very nice leather, but the Red Wings, if you've ever had a pair of Red Wings, or if you ever read anything about having a pair of Red Wings, you'll find that people generally report it's quite a torturous break-in. The forefoot here is very narrow for most persons, and the leather is incredibly firm. So, you know, you'll probably be some way into your first year before you truly feel that they're comfortable boots. The THOROGOOD, on the other hand, are immediately very supple. The leather on the sides here is very soft, and the fitting I've found to be a little bit wider. So that will make break-in much easier, allow you to have much more immediate comfort in wearing them. But at the same time, the toe unit here has got a very strongly reinforced sort of leather. I don't know how they do it, whether there's another sort of patch of leather in there or what, but it's very firm and it'll keep the shape. So, you know, you don't want to lose that classic mock toe shape with the defined edges there, but you know, that's very firmly reinforced, but it's still quite nice and supple on the sides. Lacing, they're both sort of 6-inch boot, but the Red Wings rely completely on eyelets, whereas the THOROGOOD have got the top three, or three but one, with the little hook arrangement, which means that you get in and out of these boots much more easily. Obviously you do need to unlace your boots before you take them off. It's almost impossible to get any boot on and off without unlacing to a degree, and having the hook means that you're not fiddling around trying to get your lace through a tiny little eyelet. So that's quite a nice little feature. The sole itself, as I said at the start of the video, both got the same style of sole. Red Wings are pretty famous for wearing very heavily on the heel, and it exaggerates your sort of wear pattern. So what you have in the sort of comfort and sort of spring of these sort of white wedge soles is often a trade-off against their longevity to a degree, albeit these are almost 18 months I've worn them a lot. The Thorogood compound is still relatively soft, but I'd say it's very hard to tell without wearing them for a prolonged period. But I'd say that's actually a firmer compound, so my reckoning is they'll wear a little bit better than the Red Wings. The sole construction, how it's attached to the boot, they both utilise a welt construction, which basically means there's a sort of a stitched leather layer at the top here, and when it comes to resoling, because these are relatively expensive boots, when it comes to resoling, you just peel away the white wedge, and you can get a new one glued and stitched on. The Thorogoods actually have the benefit of what they call a Goodyear storm welt. Other companies would call it, I think, a Norwegian welt or a triple welt, and basically means there's an extra fold of leather coming in, an extra row of stitching, which just helps prevent water ingress. So that's kind of a good thing. That's generally found on more expensive boots. Finally, inside the boot, you can't quite see it, but the Red Wings are very, very basic all round, which does frankly mean there's nothing to go wrong, but it does sacrifice comfort a little. So they're not lined, they don't have any insole at all apart from the flat leather. The Thorogoods, they have a dual density insole, which has, well, let's get it out, which has got these padded areas, so immediate comfort is a bit more forthcoming. Now the trade-off is that this will wear, but as you can see it comes in and out very easily, so it's really something that you can replace with these. So immediate comfort again, and easily replaceable. So that's a nice feature. Put that over there rather than popping it back in. And inside the forefoot here, it's also lined with cotton, which helps with wicking, helps on hot days. In terms of size and fit, the Thorogood are a more broad boot, so that, as I said, the comfort is there more readily. The Red Wings, you really need to break into your own foot shape. In terms of length and size fitting, I'd say they're pretty much on par. Personally, I wouldn't recommend downsizing for either of them. I'd consider both to be relatively true to size. So I'm 8 is my foot size, and I'm 8 in both of these. So hopefully that's of some use to you. So if you're considering whether you should go for Red Wing or Thorogood, I can't tell you which one to go for. They are quite different, as I said at the beginning of the video. There's quite a lot of differences there. So, I think the Thorogood offers more features. It's got a longer heritage, but it's all down to personal preference. As I say, I'm really pleased to be able to take a look at both of them, and they're both great boots. So I hope that's helpful. If you like boot reviews, denim, everyday carry, folding knives, stuff like that, please do consider subscribing to my videos, subscribing to my channel. If you like the video, click the thumbs up. And thanks for watching, and I hope that's useful. Okay, bye bye.